Well, it's another glorious day, another beautiful September day, and the conditions are right for Red Admirals to move south. This could be a good day. Well, I got here eking obviously at 10, and I've had 3 Red Admirals through so far in a quarter of an hour. I'm just down a little bit from where I was the other day, and we've had 3 across this field already at 10:04, 10:10 and 10:12. So it's early days, promising signs to get a decent count. But in order to get a decent count, you really do need more than one butterfly going through every 5 minutes. There's been a large white through as well. So the current totals at 10:15 are 3 Red Admirals and 1 large white moving south. All bodes well. Similar view to the other day, and just had another Red Admiral through, 10:18 now. And that's the general direction. We're looking straight north there, and that's the sort of line that they're coming over the top, probably feeding in the field to the left of Lownwood on the hill there, and they feed roughly down the hedgerow where the road is, and down on either side of me. Although saying that, at the moment all 4 have been to the left. In fact, there's another one here, so that's 5 gaining height as it comes over the trees. Promising indeed for such an early, relatively early hour time of the day. So we shall see what happens. I'm just around the half-hour mark now, so just after 10:30. Oh, there's a Red Admiral just going up over the trees. Don't know whether that. They are picking up actually here. They don't go round these, and there's the trees off to my left. You can see the shadow of them. And rather than go round them, which they could easily do, they just go over, which is typical from Red Admiral migration or any butterfly migration. They'll just follow. They'll stick at a certain height and just stick at that height and go over whatever's in the way. So that's another one. So we're already on 8. And that's in around half an hour. 2 large whites. I could do with a seat. But it's not a bad pastime. It's something nobody does. As I've said before, at one time of day they used to laugh, the experts, at so-called suggestions that butterflies could actually migrate south on a return migration, which was rather strange actually, because they're quite willing to accept that butterflies aren't. Oh, there's another Red Admiral just coming across now and gaining height to go over the trees there, so that's another one. But yeah, the experts, or so-called experts, were quite happy to believe the butterflies would move north in successive broods, and actually individual butterflies can fly from sort of Morocco, as in the case of painted ladies, and reach the UK quite easily without hardly losing the scale. And yet they refused to believe and laughed at people that suggested that there was a southerly migration in the autumn. But there is. I think it's largely because they don't see butterflies, and moths are seen sort of migrating over the channel, migrating north, and people can sort of sit and see them on headlands and see butterflies, and someday some moths come in off the sea, and nobody's actually looked for it, but the opposite happens. The butterfly migration in autumn is a thing. Anyway, keep looking. So, the technique for watching butterflies migrate is very simple. You basically just need a good vantage point, and I've not had any evidence to suggest that a low vantage point is better than a high vantage point. I would certainly say that a high vantage point is better. I mean, from the evidence that I've seen here, where the hill slopes off down to the left in the picture, scanning with binoculars, which is very useful in picking up distant butterflies, and I've never seen any butterflies crossing the lowest part of this hill. The majority are within the parameters of the picture you're looking at. Although there's a strong tendency for butterflies to fly just left of centre of the picture, and certainly today I think all but one Red Admiral has flown to the left of the pathway there, or the farm track, and where I'm standing. And Red Admiral seems to have, well, there's a lull at the moment, but there has been 3 large whites or singles that have trickled through, and there is a bit of a breeze. I say, you want to watch butterflies migrating, you need good conditions. Ideal conditions are often after a period of about a week or a fortnight of bad weather. If the butterflies are there ready, I mean, the key thing obviously that the butterflies are there ready to move south. If they're not, you've got a nice long wait with a nice view, and you need patience. Some days start off better and then it drops off completely. I mean, this breeze might pick up a bit more. You just have to see. But butterfly, Red Admirals and painted ladies, all of the nymphalids are strong flyers, and they can fly into a breeze as easy as anything. There's no problem. Oh, Red Admiral's just gone through. Just come through, actually, come up over the side of us and gone over the trees again. So, oh, and there's another one out over the field. Fantastic things. And people don't believe you. They'll come. Sometimes they'll see you with binoculars. What, you're looking at birds? And then when you tell them butterflies, they think you're joking. They really do. What? That's the idea of these videos, to give people an understanding of what there is. So I'll best make a note of them too. That's two within the same minute. And we'll see what else happens. Not a bad view to stare at, is it? Pit tops would always be good. Find the right place to stand, especially if you've got a northerly facing bank. That would be ideal. Stand or sit to one end, giving you a view low across the grass or the vegetation. Oh, got one going through. And that breeze has dropped. I would have expected there to be more bird migration than there is. Well, there's none, to be honest. Plenty of gulls knocking about, and another good rat today. It pays to keep scanning for anything distant, but to be honest, it is a narrow corridor that they're following. And the majority have probably gone 30 yards to the left. We'll best make a note of that last one. Might just be able to catch a glimpse of a Red Admiral just going through, and the momentum has changed. We'll just write that one down. That's 11:15. Now on 17 Red Admirals and 9 large whites. I had 14 Red Admirals in the first hour, and then since 11 o'clock there's been the 3 go through at 11:03, 11:09 and 11:15, which is the one that's just gone through. Whereas there's been 4 large whites go through since 11. It's 11:05, 11:10, 11:12 and 11:14. The fluctuations of migration. You never know how a movement of anything, whether it's birds or butterflies, is going to pan out on a morning. This time of year, when I used to arrive here first light at Eakring for bird watching, the first thing would be to stop here, get out of the car and have a cigarette and see what happens, if anything was going through. If you got out of the car and there were a few groups of meadow pipits going through, or swallows, then it was up here. If nothing sort of went through, then it was down to Eakring Flash. And then the general sort of walk round the place. But sometimes movements could start off really promising. You could get a big cat in the first hour and then it just die a death. You never know how it's going to be, which is one of the enjoyable elements of it. Same with anything. If you knew what you were going to see, or if you're a fisherman, if you knew what you were going to catch, no fun in that. It's the unpredictable nature. Yeah, sometimes you might not see anything, and other times you can just hit on something good. So we continue. There's been many a happy hour spent moth trapping at the top of here. You may well think, well, it's farmland, not brilliant habitat, is it? But it's surprising the range of species we had up here. And our best night for migrant moths was at this very spot. And it was, I seem to think it was in October evening. Now it's very mild and very muggy, and we had a decent range of moths, and then it was after midnight when stuff really started to happen. There'd been a moth knocking around which looked like a crambid. You know, but there was something about it that just didn't ring quite right, so I kept it. Good job I did, because it was Nottinghamshire's first Euchromius ocellea, which is a very rare migrant inland. But then 2 vestals turned up. I remember going mad for the first one, and then another one turned up. I was just trying to think what else we had. But it was a magic night, and say it's starting to happen late on, and we packed up in the early morning hours. Might have been about 1:30, and it was the biggest regret of my moth trapping career, sort of thing, that we packed up. It was a midweek night, so I'd got to go to work, but really should have just stayed and made the most of it. But we also had some good nights at the top of that hill there, right on the corner of Lound Wood, and we was able to watch moths on a couple of nights. A couple were scarce boarded straw, I remember, and you could watch them coming up over the field from this direction. Our best nights for migrants, this is all 2006, a long time ago. But our best nights were always on high vantage points, such as this, and hopefully will be again. But I'm going to be returning back to Eakring to run the moth trap. As a Red Admiral comes through here, look. Here we go. That's had none for a quarter of an hour, then had 3 within the same minute, and then another one a couple of minutes later, and now this one. So it's kicking off again. Slow but steady though. Well, I'm just approaching the 2-hour mark, which means it's nearly 12 o'clock, and as you can see, there's a considerable increase in the cloud, and so the prospects of any further Red Admiral migration are very slim. And to be honest, it's not worth carrying on, but at least we've got a good snapshot of today's activity. There has been some, and there's other days to try.